Your story is what all entrepreneurs deal with.
The people that like this message, that like the vulnerability, that are family-based, that are, got young kids, those are the people coming into our world. But what was happening is we noticed that like the whole program was just obsessed with making money, like for the most part. Yet I was preaching like family first, faith first, fun first, and I wasn't living that out. I think a lot of people created things they didn't actually want.
Okay.
Which was...
That's fascinating.
It's interesting because most people come into entrepreneurship for what? Freedom.
The first step was he had to realize what was really going on.
Yes.
And then he had to do something about it.
Yeah.
And then he had to figure out how to do that. And obviously everything always works out in the long run.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to the Average Sucks Show, where we get an opportunity to connect with and interview people that are living an above average life, people who live a life that screams average sucks. That doesn't mean that they are dominating in everything they do. What it means is they found ways to live effectively and they're on the journey to living a higher quality of life. So this is going to be a very, very important episode. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a mom or a dad, if you're somebody in a transition in life, this is a story that every single person must listen to allow you to get what you want to do with your career, your business, whatever it is you're working on. The guest that I'm going to share with you today is somebody I had the opportunity to become friends with over the last several months. We got an opportunity to connect over the last several days right here in the Institute. We met online, crazy story, and Vince DelMonte is an OG. And the reason I say he's an OG, I want you to listen, those of you that are marketers and business owners, this is a guy since the early 2000s found a way to market a business online that people were traditionally doing face-to-face with no ads, with no Facebook leads, because Facebook, barely even came about at that point. He found a way to build organic traffic online, build a business, and on top of that, show thousands of other business owners how to build businesses, a lot of them multi-million-dollar businesses, but that's not where the story gets good. The story gets good because he is going to share a tale of success and transition that all of us need to know, because a lot of times in life, what he shared with me earlier is very, very powerful. You have a desire of what you want, something that seems like a great idea you want in life, but be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it. And make certain the thing that you wish for is actually what you want. So there's a cautionary tale, an exciting tale, but I'm excited to share this because what we covered a minute ago, we're going to make sure to deliver with you right now. So Vince DelMonte, my man, glad you're here, brother.
So happy to be here, man.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Excited you're here. And for those of you out there like don't know the power of marketing,
yeah.
What made you reach out in one of our random local, I don't even know how I got part of this, Scottsdale Living?
Yeah, no, I just posted on my my Facebook, we were looking for an event space in Scottsdale, and you reached out. And then you sent some photos and it looked dope. And we're like, dang, this is exactly what we're looking for. We just had one of our, I would say by far our best event, in fact.
Yeah, your 7-Figure Mastermind, absolutely amazing. It was an honor to host you guys here.
Yeah.
This was crazy. I never get on that page. It like popped up on my feed and someone said, looking for an event space, and boom, this is how relationships get built. If you build it, like they say,
with tons of mutual friends too,
they will come.
Yeah.
I don't know how we didn't meet each other, right?
Yeah. It's one of those worlds where it's easy to meet and it's easy not to meet. Yeah. The paths just didn't cross, but hey, they cross when they're meant to.
We're there now. So I want to go back. So I know these guys are excited about it.
Yeah.
OG, you've been around the online marketing fitness space for how many years? I
started in 2006, launched my first ebook. Okay. So back in the day when you could sell $97 ebooks, pretty much selling air.
Okay.
And I didn't think it was possible.
What was the name of it?
No Nonsense Muscle Building.
Okay.
So it was built on my whole story of transforming from skinny Vinny to a pro fitness model. And I used to be a former long distance runner and was like the poster boy for weak, scrawny, pipsqueak, couldn't get the girl. So I did it all drug free as well. So I had an extreme transformation. And I also discovered the world of online marketing a few years after that transformation, and I saw other dudes marketing literally $97 ebooks, and I thought it was completely fascinating that people were selling air and making all this money. And I didn't actually believe it was true.
When you say selling air, what do you mean? Because I know
Like
that's
digital
a term you say.
marketing, just a digital product.
But was yours air or yours had some meat to it?
It had meat to it.
Okay.
But I mean, you're literally just transacting information, right? There was no Facebook community. There was no live events. There was no, supplements or gear included. It was just words in a book. It was my transformation. Wow. It was my workout program, right? Just meal plans, workouts, and education. So
this is funny. So this is the connection people have with people. When I was a kid growing up, I don't know if they had this in Canada, we had Boys Life magazine, which is like Boy Scouts. You've heard of Boys Life?
Yeah, Boy Scouts. I remember
Boy Scouts. Boys Life magazine.
Okay.
In the back, there was a send $1 to this guy for a fitness guide. And this was like mail-in. I had to mail that thing. And then I waited I'd get a money order, and I'd mail him $1 as a money order. And then 2 weeks later, I'd get like a pamphlet.
Yep.
And then I'd send him like $10 for some supplements. And this guy taught me how to lift like water jugs or whatever. And the reason I'm saying that is that went from 2, 3, 4 weeks of waiting. You were instantly be able to.
Yeah, instantly downloadable. Yeah, and the guy that I started to get inspired by was selling 10 of these copies a day. And I did the math, and that's $1,000 a day. At first, my first reaction, that's impossible.
And that's in Canadian dollars.
Yeah. Back, $30,000 a month was like, that's impossible. There's no way anybody can make that. That's where my mind was. Yeah. That's impossible.
Did your parents entrepreneurs?
No, my was my grandpa. He came over from Italy on the boat, and he actually created a Club Italia in Niagara Falls, Ontario. Really? Yeah, he was the founder, and he built like a lot of construction in Niagara Falls. He built the largest upground cemetery of the mausoleum, and they offered me his construction company, when I was coming out of university, as like, hey, this is ready for you. I already had done
that was an existing business.
Yeah, it was an existing business, but I sucked at construction. I did bricklaying, framing, I did assembly line, and I hated it. I was a hard worker, but when I discovered the internet, it was actually 2005. I'd had about 3 years of personal training experience behind my belt. So
Were you working at a gym?
Yeah, like I was a typical trainer, 60, 70 hours.
What gym?
It was called Phoenix Fitness. I worked at like 5 or 6 different gyms.
You worked at Phoenix Fitness?
Phoenix in Hamilton, Ontario.
Okay, that is really weird. So we're in Phoenix now, basically.
Yeah, right.
You worked at Phoenix Fitness.
Yeah. I worked at a lot of gyms, in fact. And where I got called into the whole marketing sales world is when I was offered an opportunity to do the selling in the gym. So not to sell the gym memberships, but to sell the personal training packages. Okay. And when you could actually, sell 144 sessions and make, sell $5,000-$6,000 package, and then I was making 20% commission. Wow. And then all of a sudden, I was making more money than any of my friends. I was able to buy a nice car, and what I loved most was that I was building the personal training department, and I fell in love with the world of sales. I never had the skill set of selling. But I always had this fascination with building, creating something of my own. So when I discovered internet marketing, we didn't call it like anything else. It was just called internet marketing. Back into internet marketing, I fell in love with it immediately. And I saw, wow, I could market my story on the internet and send people to a website, and then they could give me $97, and then I send them an ebook. And that was like just mind-boggling.
And you didn't have to pick up the phone. There was no Facebook ads.
None of that.
There was no.
It was article marketing back. It's just article. You just write articles.
It was free.
Yeah, you write articles.
Time and effort.
And you get on bodybuilding.com. You go on T-Nation. There's like 3 or 4 big magazines, online magazines. And if you're published in them, you're good to go. Then you get traffic back to your website. You learn how to write sales copy. So I kind of got all my skill sets like established really early on in terms of like, copywriting and getting traffic and building affiliates. Relationships. So that's how I built my foundation. And then that led off to like 4 different 7-figure fitness businesses, all in the same niche of helping skinny guys build muscle. Now, through all that, I was also pretty vocal about my faith. Like I wasn't a Christian muscle building program or anything like that, but people could tell that, hey, this guy's also a man of faith. And I started to attract a very unique audience. And I did that for 12 years. So there were a lot of like, believers who were looking to build muscle and do it the natural way. So I built the following. I kind of carved out my niche and really dominated that muscle building space. I did that for 12 years. And then, like most people evolve, I got tired of talking about muscle building. And I had a lot of people ask me, do you teach people how to do what you did?
Talk to me about that transition, because that's the big word today is transition, because I know you're going through a major one right now we'll get to.
It's interesting, yeah.
How did you go? Okay, so let's be clear, because a lot of people watching this right now, they are, or listening wherever they're at, they have a business that operates and runs like yours did. Right. You got thousands of people giving you $97, $47, blah, blah, blah. It sustains, it makes money, they're happy, it's their average, it does well, and it's better than their neighbor. What was that like? I want to really dig deep on this. I don't want the surface answer. What was it like to go, got it, I am the trainer of you people, to now I'm going to teach trainers how to work with those people? Like, what was that process like? How old were you? What was going on? Because that's a transition. That's did you just drop the first business? Did you stop with the 97s? Did you switch over? Walk me through that, because a lot of people want to know how that works.
Yeah, it was exciting, first of all. So first of all, to understand how I'm wired, everything I do is passion driven. Okay. So like I was just running out of passion to create fitness content.
You said running out of, running on?
Running out of passion. I was running, like I created over 1,000 videos on how to build muscle, every different way you could spin it. So after 12, right? So I had a pre-workout at the time. I had a supplement line. I had my wife's muscle, her fitness products. I had all my muscle building products. So there was a lot of revenue coming in from everything related to fitness. But I knew that, I don't have much more in this space. It was also getting really competitive, and I felt like I don't know how much more I want to teach on this. I had a mentor guide me through it.
That. I want to get really clear. Did you get bored?
Yeah, I was bored.
What did it feel like at night? And the reason I'm asking this is people go through this. They have to know when it's time to change.
Yeah.
I'm not saying your formula is their formula, but I'm always interested in this. Like, I want to go back there because this is a big piece of the puzzle. You got things going. You look over here. This goes well, but it's getting boring, correct? Yeah. And it's getting harder to produce at the level, and the world's changing. What feelings went through your body when you were like, am I doing the right thing? It's
a great question. Yeah. I feel like I could feel the clock ticking, and I felt like I was starting to run out of time to have a bigger or different type of impact. I felt like I could influence on a different type of scale. So what was interesting is that my skill set became the marketing. I would say I was a better marketer than I was a muscle building coach. So I was better at the marketing side of what I did than actually the education side of what I did.
How was that to swallow, to figure out that, like, as a marketer,
I was always better at the marketing.
How did that feel though? Like,
I kind of owned it, to be honest. Okay. And I had a lot of haters along the way because, the science guys would get upset at you because you're making all this money. And I'm just like, I'm good at what I do. I'm really good at the marketing. So I knew I could have more impact. And I also love the idea of having my own coaching program, a mastermind, where people are coming to learn how to build their businesses, how to make money. So I was also looking to simplify my life into like one core offer, because I had so much going on. And that was when I had my third baby as well. And things were very stressful. So managing multiple offers, running out of gas, losing the passion, it was like a perfect time to pivot. And I actually got invited to join.
Was it easy to pivot?
I had a mentor and I had direction. So I shared all that. It was with Bedros Keuilian. You know Bedros?
Very well.
Yeah, so it was when he first launched his Empire Mastermind 2017. And he was the only guy who had something that I wanted, which was a mastermind of, I think, 100 to 200 active members. And I was fascinated by him running events with trainers, learning how to run their businesses. And I'm thinking, I can do this. And Bedros was kind of like fading out of that, I knew he was kind of like outgrowing that and was moving into his other stuff. And I saw a gap as well. I'm like, who's going to carry this on? Now there's like a gazillion fitness business coaches, but I was one of the first ones who stepped into it to fill, I would say, his shoes in terms of, he started telling people to go work with me. And I said, how do I run a mastermind with all these people paying me $18,000 a year? And he said, I'll show you. So he guided me in transitioning. The first thing he told me was, you have to kill your babies. So you have to kill off all your wife's stuff. You got to kill off the supplement line. You got to kill off the clothing line.
Was that scary?
Yeah, very. Because, I mean, it
sounds easy. It sounds easy.
You put so much time and money into it. Yeah. And he said, we're going to build a mastermind. This is going to be your thing. And it was very scary because what if it didn't work out? You know, it was kind of like, I've got this, why would I let that go? But because of the time of life I was in, I didn't have the capacity or even, I would say, the leadership to manage multiple companies. So looking back, I always say, man, I wish I could have kept all that stuff going. But in the time, the only thing that made sense was to put all my efforts into growing this mastermind. And it ended up becoming the biggest fitness business coaching program that I'm aware of.
Wow.
Yeah. And we had at one point 316 active members in the flagship offer. And I believe there's other programs larger, but like that was a big accomplishment to have that many people in one program, which became bigger than his. And that was always my goal. And then we had another level, but I didn't realize, you know, helping people make money is stressful. When people are coming in and they're giving you money to make them money, that's a whole different beast. So I got really emotionally attached to like when people left the program or if people weren't doing well. I felt like way too married to, you know, so many people that it was pulling me away from myself and from my family. And it became this thing that was like almost a machine I couldn't control. It got so big.
So you're telling me like, so was that part of the marketing? Like, I'll help you make more money, or
Yep.
when you practice? So if you could have done that differently, would you have promised them the financial gain, or when your business make your life easier?
Oh, you know what? It's interesting. That's how we grew. We grew off of selling the external motivators of what people want. My messaging was get to 10K a month, 20K a month, 40K a month, 100K per month. I just talked about top line revenue. And because we had so many success stories coming out of the program at those top line revenue numbers, more people came in. But what was happening is we noticed that like the whole program was just obsessed with making money, like for the most part. Yet I was preaching like family first, you know, faith first, fun first, and I wasn't living that out. So what I was living out was make more money, and we attracted more people who wanted to make more money. But I noticed like there was kind of this just undertone of overwhelm
In yourself.
And
them too?
Both. Yeah, you could feel like I got all these people making all this money and they're coming on coaching calls still stressed out. I'm like, we're all doing something wrong.
So hold on. You're modeling them. You're their leader.
Yeah.
You're modeling them to focus on making money, but we're going to say family first, but not really do it. Correct?
Yeah.
And
intention,
everyone's got good intentions.
Yeah, good.
I believe
it was
what they say. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. We all have heard that before.
Yeah.
So your outcome, your desire, your hook for them was be like me. We're going to make a lot of money. We're going to pretend that we're doing these other things. We didn't say that out loud.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
We're going to want those things, but we're really going to make money. And everybody started to do better financially, but they sacrificed their lifestyle.
I think a lot of people created things they didn't actually want.
Okay.
Which was
that's fascinating.
You know, it's interesting because most people come into entrepreneurship for what? Freedom.
Yep.
Freedom to do what? Time freedom, locational freedom, and financial freedom, which requires profits.
Yep.
And next thing you know, you've got people stressed out because their teams are too big. They have to downsize because cash flow constraints, and they didn't build up recurring revenue, or they didn't learn how to manage their money. Or they're on all these platforms and then they're going through a personal issue. Now they can't show up, and now, you know, they're trying to run ads to get to the next level. They got crappy show up rates. They lose a good closer, then they lose a good setter, then they hire an operations manager to fix everything, and they don't have to lead that person. And then that person becomes, a time bomb. And then it's just all these like people issues. And then I realized like, you know, who I was also learning from was talking about leadership and management and accountability. A lot of my more alpha male mentors, even my alpha male circles, it was like, and they were doing it well. And I realized like, I don't know, like, don't get me wrong, I love leadership, management, but I'm like, this isn't what I want to be always focused on. I want a simpler model. I want a model that serves me first.
When did you recognize that? Because one of the things you shared with me prior to the cameras going on, it goes, you got to a point, and there was a
after
moment,
my separation.
It was a moment in your business.
It was when my wife was done.
She was probably done way before she.
She was done. She was slowly disconnecting through the marriage because she didn't have a relationship with me. Now there's a whole nother story around me not even knowing how to connect to myself, but like her reality is that she felt like a roommate, and she didn't feel safe, seen or heard. And because I was constantly like in the business, I wasn't present. I didn't know how to emotionally connect. I didn't know how to, meet her where she was at. And once that happened, I lost the most important person in my life. I realized I wasn't like, okay, screw you, fine, whatever, you're entitled. You don't appreciate all this stuff. Like, hey, good luck. I'm off. But I was completely heartbroken. Like, my soul was severed. It's been 2 years this month, and it still feels almost as painful as when it first started. And
because you would have done things differently.
Yeah, I would have done things completely differently. And I always said that. I'm like, but unfortunately, and no knock to her, but like some women's realities is that it's too scary to try again because of the pain they experienced. And whether that's right or wrong, that is the consequence of being disconnected from somebody who wants like a genuine partnership, connection, intimate, vulnerable relationship. And
were you guys working together in the business?
She did her own thing, actually.
Okay.
She was very good at, she did her own thing until our second came, and then she helped me with bookkeeping. And then, she's been full-time mom.
Once you got 3,
she's been pretty much full-time mom, yeah.
Okay, so did your transition, transition, did it happen after your separation?
Yeah,
that you
that's
need to change this?
That's when I started doing that's when I started doing the soul searching.
What was the moment you realized, like, okay, I got to do this thing differently?
Yeah, when I found out that I'm going to spend half my time with my kids. I'm like, I got married and I'm going to see my kids half the time. Like, I didn't sign up for that. Like, I realized that I actually loved my kids, and I actually loved her, and I actually loved the family. Like, what I was preaching.
Were you spending time with them prior?
Oh, yeah. But they were little, and comparing to what it's like now, I would say I endured them. I didn't enjoy them.
Okay. So you put up with it.
Yeah,
you were there.
More like, it was like, Daddy, come out on the trampoline. I'm like, guys, just give me 15 minutes. I got to lie down. Like, oh my goodness. Okay, guys, we'll just do it tomorrow. Yeah. Guys, Daddy worked a long day, and that would happen more.
Cats in the cradle.
Let's just say that happened a lot more than once. Yeah. And now when I'm with them, like, it's full on, like, fun, like laughing, wrestling, going on ventures, playing. Like, I cherish every moment with them, and it's like day and night. And I even asked them the other day, what's it like now with Daddy compared to before when Mommy and Daddy were together? And they all like said, so much better. So
they like you better. You like you better.
They like, we didn't really like spend a lot of time before, and they remembered, and they're little.
Really? How old are they now?
11, 9, and 6, but it was crazy.
It's in here. They know.
They're like, it's sad that Mommy's not around when we're all together, but they did acknowledge that they have a better relationship with me, and thank God, this did wake me up. Thank God, and just being woken up isn't enough. I talk to guys about the different phases of awakening. Then you have to start to to apply, right? After the awakening, there's a big application process, and then there's an ascension process to actually becoming a new person. But there's a big process you have to go through.
And you're in the middle of that right now.
Yeah, because when I go back here from this trip, I haven't seen my kids for 2 weeks. I'm going to be right back into tonight, get groceries, lunches, drive them to school. My daughter's in a play, so they're in gymnastics. Now I'm full on dad, and I'm playing, Mr. Mom as well. And the days from 9 to 3. So I've got all these ideas from this event and all these things that are in full motion. And it's interesting because before I just go back and I have a support system at home. Like my wife she would take care of everything, and I could just be full on work. Now I can't move at the same pace, which is really hard on your identity because I can't just move as fast, right? I'm a lot slower. Which also kind of...
Are you slower, or are you moving the pace you can move?
Yeah, I would say I'm slower compared to before.
Slower
but moving
than your idea. Slower than the shit that didn't work.
Right, exactly.
I don't know a better way to put that. It was not working.
Exactly.
So fast was not serving you.
And that's what's been hard with the transition, because when people associate your identity as someone who can, hey, Vince is the guy who's going to help you get to 80K months. If you want to be a millionaire fitness coach, hire Vince. And now all of a sudden, Vince is talking about, I can help you make millions, but like, I don't know if that's what you really want. And they're saying, well, yeah, that is what I want.
That's what they want while they're broke.
That's what they want
while they're hurting.
But I said, you know what it led to? So they're also hearing a guy say that model can also create a lot of chaos in your life. That model might require sacrifice that you're not willing to take. And that does require a level of focus and time that is demanding. And some people aren't good at balancing and can't separate, family. I was somebody that just couldn't turn off. It's very hard for me to turn off. So it bleeds and everybody feels it. So if you have a bad sales day, the whole family knows it was a bad sales day. When you have a good day, it's like, what mood's Dad in today? Well, depends on how sales were. And I was not good at emotional regulation. So I'm not saying that it's not possible. I'm not trying to paint a picture where like I'm saying like, don't even try because you're going to fail. There's obviously a lot of examples. I'm sure there's examples out there of people who figured out the balance piece. I love to believe that, but I'm seeing more people fail at it than succeed at it. So I simply ask them, what do you want? And most people, when you ask them that, they're like, yeah, I don't know if I actually, like, I'm already making great money. So I'm like trying to ask them, so why do you want to make more? And they've never even thought about that.
They just think I'm more because I want more.
Yeah.
All right, I want to break in here real quick and remind you that motivation and mindset do not happen by accident. They happen by choice. They happen by decision. And why not start off the week in the most incredible way with an incredible Monday mindset that you can activate in less than 90 seconds. Go to michaelbernoff.com/Monday Mindset, and you'll get access to our quick 90-second emails and videos that we will send every single Monday to activate your mindset in business and personal and every aspect of your life so you can guarantee to live an above average life. michaelbernoff.com/Monday Mindset. Get your access today. I have a thought for you, just something to think about right now. I remember one of my buddies, Kent, said this to me. He said, Michael, he said, you've been doing this a long time. Have you thought that it's time to let the new people coming up have your old business, what you used to do? And I thought about that for a second. Do you think a lot of us need to realize, like, we get stuck, like I told average sucks. We get stuck in what we do. So let's just pretend there's an evolution of the business. You start off, you go from teach people how to be skinny Vinny to be in great shape, right?
Right.
And maybe there's an evolution of after you figure that out, you hand that business over to skinny Tony. Does that make sense? Or skinny Maria that wants to be tone, right?
Right.
What if we are being selfish as entrepreneurs and holding on to something longer than we need to out of the need for identity when we need to honor and give? This is almost very spiritual. God would probably be happy we're having this conversation. Passing almost like the youth pastor, building the youth pastor. So now level one is in this business, in this model, was teaching people how to be in better shape.
Yeah.
You master that, whatever it is, and you give that, or you're a mechanic, you give the oil changes to the new guy. Does that make sense? Coming up, what if we were to give away the business that we don't need and allow someone else to succeed, and then we be the next level of mentor? What if we're holding on too long to something, and that's why we get put through pain, because we were supposed to let go a long time ago, and we're actually harming people 100%. By not giving the next dude or lady coming up?
Yeah, I think you're always the bottleneck. And I think the one bottleneck of the bottleneck is the model. Yep. Yeah, like what is the model of delivery, and then being able to give yourself permission to up level the messaging. The messaging is changing.
So what if we were to have three models? What if you were to teach this, just a thought, and I'm going to get into this. What if you were to say, like, listen, you're going to need three models. I know Bedros brought you to model 2, and now I know you're going to model 3 right now, which is really exciting. Yeah. What if you, as a coach, were to tell people, or I were to share with people, like, you're going to need 3 models in advance? We don't know exactly what 2 or 3 are, but what if we were just in advance? This is not the do-all end-all. This is just model 1, and then eventually we're going to have model 2, and you're going to give away model 1 to someone else. What if we were to do that in our minds to start with? Right. I mean, I don't know I've never even heard of that or thought that ever through in my life, but that is something I'm dealing with, that I've got to give people what I used to do. I'm letting some other people work with these people I don't work with anymore. Right. Someone else can have the new business owners that are just getting started. I don't do well with them anymore. Right. There's a new guy that's got the passion, excitement, and drive for that. I'm way better working with higher level folks like yourself that are already doing great things. Right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Always be growing. Yeah. I mean, that's what my brand's all about, leveling up. Yeah. Level up or level off.
You're sharing this online with people right now, what you're going through?
I've been pretty open with it, to be honest, but it's also very scary because of how people may perceive it. So if you say, hey, we had our best event, it was small and intimate, because I've trained people to go after bigger, small and intimate sounds like, was he not able to fill the seats? Is this guy outdated?
You had a great group of people here,
you hear what I'm saying? Yeah. Though, like, there's those fears. There's those lies that, again, you're appealing to your old identity, to your old insecurities. And I'm realizing those fears are coming from trying to appeal to somebody who has those same insecurities. I'm only going to join the biggest group, or where they've got the most speakers.
But are those your people anymore?
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm getting.
That's what's been the hardest part. Transitioning away
from the ego people.
And just, am I going to find my new crowd? Am I going to find my new people? Or am I going to, it's the fear of loss. It is a scarcity mindset. It is a fear of like eradicating that scarcity of like, geez, but are they going to go to somebody else? I'm like, even if they do, it's not in alignment with who I am anymore. And I have to make the shift.
And you're in the middle of this transition now.
What's been interesting is the more I talk about this, I had a guy, former coaching client of mine, helped him get to 30K months to, I think he got to about 130K months with me. And he just messaged me that he went to 4 different mentors and he got up to 200K months. And now he's back down to like 40, 50K per month, hardly making payroll. And he's reaching out to me because he's, listening to the messaging, saying, it sounds like you're going through something that I'm going through. I built this thing that I resent, I can't manage. And all I wanted all along was to be present with my kids and my family. And that's like the last thing I've got. And I'm like, interesting. So now when I'm talking about this pit, it's always scary to talk about the pit. Right? We always talk about the peak. We think we need to talk about the peak to get people to sign up. The more I talk about the pit, the reality of this bro scaling world, people reach out and they're like, you just described my situation.
So you're connecting with people better because you're telling them what you're going through.
So
you're the master of organic social marketing. Even before social, you were doing organic marketing. One thing I want to say, we're not even close to finishing this up, but I want to throw this right now, is that you're honoring yourself and the world by sharing a lot of this messaging with people. How does somebody watch you going through this right now? Because there's a small group of people working with you. And I say small because I met them. They were badasses. You guys had these ladies and gentlemen in the room that I saw, and I've been around the fitness world for a while. Those are the best, dude. They were the most loving, caring students I've ever seen. Even John here. I mean, it was awesome. My question for you is it Instagram? Is it Facebook? Is it YouTube? How are you sharing pieces of this journey? Because I want our students right now to follow you, whether they're in fitness or not, or a mom and dad going through something, or a human being that knows if you're on your high of your life right now, be careful in life, because if you know what you want, you might just get it.
Well, we can tell them to check out the new Instagram account, I am Vince DelMonte. It was originally Vince DelMonte, which has 130,000 followers. About 80,000 of those followers came from Instagram shoutouts.
Okay.
So they're not fake followers, but it was really crappy followers. And my account never recovered from that, all those followers.
Those the ego followers.
Yeah. And I've had like, it's been a whole year that I've been like, I want to keep that account because of the amount of followers, but the engagement ratio to the number of followers looks so bad. I'm like, I finally just had the courage to say, I don't care. So I just started a new account. And I'm eventually going to delete that.
Where's that one at?
I am Vince DelMonte.
How many people are on that one right now?
I just started a couple of days ago, 200.
Okay, good. So after the show, there'll be a few hundred more.
Yeah. And you know what? It feels better, to be honest.
Say it again, the name of it?
I am Vince DelMonte.
That's great.
So then I've got the YouTube channel. I've got the podcast. So I share mostly on Instagram, podcasts, and YouTube.
Okay.
And Facebook as well. So it's interesting because the people who've been with me for a long time, they almost said like, yeah, I saw this coming. They almost like your people, like I always say, you don't find your niche, your niche finds you, right? And the people that like this message, that like the vulnerability, that are family based, that are got young kids, those are the people coming into our world because that's who I am. And
you're not attracting young single guys.
I used to
I know you did because that was you.
I used to attract the alpha dudes, and because the energy was very different. I could be that guy, but that whole thing was built out of a lot of frantic and chaotic energy. Jacked up on a lot of caffeine, testosterone, booze in the evening time to like chill out, and then have to start the cycle over the next day. So it was built off of, like, looking back, a lot of chemicals. Yeah. And I'm like, what did I build? And when I was going through all my decoding of how I got here with the therapist and stuff, I realized that a lot of it was built out of a lack of authenticity. And we heard that word everywhere, but that word really resonates.
What does it mean to you? Because people listen and they got their own seminar version, like to Vince. What does that actually mean to you?
Yeah, alignment with God's will for my life and not my desires.
Okay, what's God using you for?
I believe He's using me to. Help people build a better business, not just a bigger business. I feel like He's using me to acknowledge that you can put God first and you'll be honored. And it's not like you're not risking, like he's not going to downsize you. He still wants to give you a lot, but he also wants the glory and he wants to be put first. So I think almost like surrendering and trusting and
which is very scary.
Yeah, these are all words entrepreneurs hate. Yeah, these are all the opposite of
there's no security, there's no safety.
Yeah.
There's no net.
But I think even I think God's also using me to like help people see that you can rebuild. And I think ultimately like redefine success, because a lot of people know me as like success was like bigger, and now I'm trying to redefine success as, you know, it's what's going on underneath the hood. You know, like it's almost, again, I don't believe that regrets are bad, because I believe regret is research, but like having less regrets, there's a lot of things that you can probably navigate with wisdom and being around men that are like in alignment with ultimately getting to the truth of who you are. I think authenticity is when you strip away the lies and you are truly honest with, you know, where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. And I think men are just really have been just programmed not to share the truth. And just from a very, very young age, there's all sorts of different feelings around, you know, the way you're supposed to show up, and you're not allowed to express this, and this is what power and, you know, masculinity looks like. I think a lot of guys are just like slaves, and they don't have freedom.
They think they're doing the right thing. I mean, we all fall for it. I can't say we all, but the majority of people will fall for it because there's a stereotype, and we're supposed to be strong and not talk about the stuff and provide and produce and do what we need to do. But a lot of times, what was a good idea isn't a good idea anymore.
Right.
And like it was supposed to only go on for a period of time. Yeah. And we make it a lifestyle.
I don't see a lot of men that seem actually free. I don't feel think so. I don't feel like a lot of men.
I keep on saying what's the definition, but what is your definition of free? Because people hear that and they're like, oh, I'm doing what I want to do and screw everybody.
Yeah, I'll give you an example of a guy that I know, and he built his company at $2 million a year. He worked with Alex Hermosi acquisition, and he was all about like the bro scaling. Built a significant size team, agency model, $2 million a year, very, very little profits.
Okay.
Stressed out of his mind, working with clients that he didn't really want to serve. The way we describe it is I wouldn't actually go out for dinner with these people.
Got it.
Right. The problem that he was solving was just like not in alignment. The model, the outcome, it was just a lot of misalignment. And
he had a fake business.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you create something. Was making $2 million, and it's really cool.
It wasn't making $2 million. It was merchant account was seeing $2 million. They were getting their 4%. This dude was barely scraping by.
Yeah. To the point where he burned it all to the ground. And this guy, I actually knew him. He came to my mastermind way back in the day, and it just get started. And I watched him like burn his business to the ground. And he closed the doors to acquisition for 8 months. He broke off his partnership, and he just didn't take on clients. He focused purely on retention for 8 months, and created a model where he went from like 13 team members down to 4, and now generates 90% profits.
Wow.
And he spends 8 hours a week working, and he's got like 2 VAs, 2 contractors, and spends a lot of time traveling.
Did you coach him through this?
No.
Okay. No. Do you know what he did? Because I'd love to figure out. Let's break it down. What do you think he did?
It was courage.
Okay. Well, courage to do what? Because
if
people listen right now, they're going to get off this podcast, they're going to write courage on a whiteboard, and they don't know what the hell it means.
I'll tell you. So one of the things I asked him about was he said that he got to a point where he realized that if he was to have a much more profit-rich model where he was present with his family, experiencing more fun, he would have to downsize his team. And what he realized was that his team was not his family. His family was his family. And he was afraid to let go of his team because, you know, how people post, like, my team's my family. I'm like, and he came out and said, your team's not your family. Your kids are your family.
Got it.
Your wife is your family.
Yep.
Your clients are not your family.
Yep.
Your team is not your family. And kind of that distinction. And it was interesting because he said after he did it, well, one, he was afraid because he was providing for them. They were all on his payroll.
Because they had families.
And yeah, exactly. But he realized that in this process, he was not serving himself. And he was trying to save his team instead of save himself. And until he actually said, hey, this is not the model I want, he literally let everyone go but 4 people, turned off acquisition, focused on retention, and created a simpler model. And now he's got 90% profits. And he's still at $2 million a year.
So the first step was he had to realize what was really going on.
Yes.
And then he had to do something about it.
Yeah.
And then he had to figure out how to do that. And obviously everything always works out in the long run.
Yeah.
And then, interesting. Okay, so 'cause I can guarantee there's people listening to this right now. And if you're listening right now, you're smart. And I'll tell you that your desire to look past all the fitness stuff, if that is not your industry, is not a fitness conversation. This is a conversation about human beings. And that's why Bible stories are so powerful, because if we talk about something else that has nothing to do with any of us, because it happened thousands of years ago, but you relate to your life about, Adam and Eve and Job and all that stuff. We relate to this stuff. Your story is what all entrepreneurs deal with. It's like you built something that you thought was a really great idea.
Right.
And it wound up not being a great idea. So what's next for Vince? Like where are you headed? Like what's your North Star? Where are we headed? What's going on? I know you're moving, like you said, a turtle compared to the tortoise right now. And you're moving, you're not moving, you're not the hare. You want to be the hare, not the turtle.
Yeah.
What's 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the road?
I'm so open to, honestly what the Lord has. And I think this is the first time I have genuinely surrendered everything to a point where I don't know if God's preparing me for to take a year off, or if He's preparing me to.
Would you do it if you had to?
I would be so hard.
Would it be hard or just different?
I'd be so bored.
You sure?
I have funds, I could do it no problem. It's not that I couldn't financially. I could stop working for years right now.
Yeah.
I've done very well. So, but it's honestly it's fear. It's could I make a comeback? What would I do if I came back? Have I been riding luck all these years? And then would I all of a sudden realize that there's all these
So what do you think's out here? Because you're not just going to wait for God to give you the plan.
Yeah.
If you were to guess right now and we were to bet on this.
Yeah.
And we were to make a decision 2 years from now, what does it feel like? What does it look like? What are you moving towards? Because this is interesting. I was at Genius Network this last weekend, and Jordan Peterson had said a very interesting comment. And Jordan basically, and this hit me really hard. He said very quickly, he goes, what does your future look like? And then he goes, it depends the choices you make.
Right.
And when he said those words, he said, there's an unlimited level of up, very limited down. And when I thought about that, below us, dude, you're going to dig for 5 feet, but you can go up forever. So what is your up?
Yeah.
Where are you taking this? What's going on? And the reason I'm challenging you right now to do this is let's be willing to either be wrong or right.
Right.
But
right.
Where do you feel let's talk this out? Because you're in the transition. What a wonderful time to talk about it.
When my business has always done well is when I've been personally, physically, in my best shape.
Yep.
And when I've been in a really good state of mind. So I think really prioritizing the business in a way that doesn't neglect some of even my personal goals. I want to get back into endurance sport. I just ran 2 half marathons the last little bit. I want to do a half Ironman next year. I want to get back into endurance sport. That's going to require a schedule that's going to create more time, because it's a very boring sport to train for. It requires a lot of low heart rate type of training. So, but that to me is freedom, being able to get on a bike and not worry about anything falling apart. So I think for me, simplification and reducing variables to really a lifestyle first model where there's actually stability, and then building off of that. I think that's the first line of order.
So do you think if someone's listening to this right now, it's so easy to I sat next to the lady, we went to dinner the other night, one of the ladies that helped Ferris do the 4-hour work week, right?
Yeah, okay.
Which I never read because I just disconnected with the concept.
Sure.
I mean, because I was wanting to work 90 hours a week.
This guy just talked about is actually living the 4-hour work week now.
Yeah, I know.
There's not many people
I
actually
get that,
do it. Yeah,
but
yeah.
he got there.
Yeah, it took him a while.
Let's talk this through right now.
Yeah.
Do you believe we need to experience, we start off, not unless you're a trust fund kid, you're wealthy to start with, the parents had a bunch of money, 2 entrepreneur parents, 2, your grandparent was your mom and dad, that would be totally different, your granddad, right? Let's just pretend you're an entrepreneur and you're your whole goal is mine at the beginning. I just want freedom.
Right.
And I don't want to work for anyone else.
Yeah.
So then I built a business where it was hard as hell at the beginning, and I worked for myself, and I had freedom, and I made money, but I was didn't have a life. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Do you believe we've got to have like stage one is we're going to make a bunch of money and we're going to do the things we need to do, and then with stage two, we're going to learn how do we sustain that momentum and then do this thing called live our actual life? Because I believe most people don't need as much money as they think they need.
No, that's true.
And I think most people, if they could make $1 million, $1.5 million max, does that make sense?
Yeah.
In a year and not have a large amount of expenses, they get a great quality of life if they invest well and do the things they need to do. Do you think the average person could start off with this plan and go, got it, I'm going to build my life right off the bat. I don't have the money. I have a job. I don't really like what I do. I want to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to do it the 4-hour work week way, and I'm just going to have a life the entire time? Or do you think, I want to be on it. Let's you and I, let's look at our data. Like, what do you feel? I know what I'm going to say. I want to you go first, but do you understand my question?
I think they need to, I think most people are going to follow the voice of culture first.
Okay.
And they're going to go bigger. And they're going to have to decide for themselves. I honestly don't think there's a right or wrong.
Do you think that they could actually sign up at the beginning, or here's my business plan. I'm going to take me 8 years instead of 4 years of hard and then 4 years of easy, or I'm just going to skip that whole part about like learning all the lessons and all that stuff along the way, and I'm just going to have a lifestyle business like immediately.
I haven't seen that as the pattern.
So I'm wondering if
I've
we all have to go through it, but we have to be aware and know when we need to get out.
I think there's most people are all gas pedal at the start.
Okay.
And because you're in survival mode and you're trying to break out of the situation you're in to get to some different levels, I think you definitely have to have an awareness. This message I'm sharing wouldn't not have resonated with me a couple of years ago.
No,
I appreciate but that's who I'm not trying to attract that person anymore.
I know. That's what I'm getting at.
That's what I'm saying. So I feel like life is God's best teacher.
Yep.
So, and typically us men, we need to learn through extreme pain, extreme catastrophic pain, loss, disappointment, sometimes death, maybe not a literal death, but a loss, extreme loss of something precious to you, to wake up and like, holy crap, what the hell's, like, men don't respond to anything but pain. So some people are just going to listen to this, and I did build my business off of listening to the Grant Cardones and Alex Hormozis.
You gotta hustle. I love that message. Go and you gotta make it happen.
Message.
Hustle and go.
I resonated with that message, but I didn't see what that could lead to if it wasn't checked.
They both did transition into different quality of life.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, and I think that's what messes up a lot of entrepreneurs, because they're like, well, you didn't get to where I want to be without going crazy. So you almost sound like a hypocrite.
So we need to stop talking to the people that aren't ready to listen to it. So I think part of the messaging is, you said something called redefine success. Yeah. And I believe that you're attracting business owners that have already succeeded.
Yeah.
At some level, at some point.
Yeah.
So I'm doing some of your marketing right now, and I'm going to say this clearly. I truly believe that what you're attracting is business owners that have succeeded at some level in some way, that want to do it better this next round or the next 10 years.
Yeah, I think what I also I'm helping do is, like, when you come out and say, like, there's nothing wrong with clearing $50K a month or $100K a month, or when you got a guy who's been making, I looked at the guy, Sam Ovens, I thought he was interesting, how he went from, like, I can't remember, maybe tens of millions a year down to like a couple million a year. When he actually shares that, that's like, okay, so he did it, and he's still got a business, but he changed the model. He wasn't emotionally attached. To me, that's impressive, because the fact that he had all this prestige here, but now it's just I find it just as prestigious that he's making 3-4 million. I don't know what he's doing now, but just that contrast. But he's building a business by design. I think the message here is not whether you make this amount or this amount. It's like the church. It doesn't matter if it's a big church or a small church. Some churches take pride in being small. Some churches take pride in being big. Like, as long as the Bible is being taught, who cares? So, like, I don't care what the size of your business is, as long as it's being built by design. That's what matters. As long as you're intentional about, this is what we're actually trying to build. And I think if you're intentional about it, when you get there, there might be a feeling of contentment, and that's actually not a bad thing. I think what I'm trying to help guys understand is that it is okay to be content. It's not settling. It does not mean you're lazy. You can be grateful for everything that you have, and say, hey, Lord, if you want to bless me with more, if there's another opportunity I'm missing, I'm all ears. But I want to make sure that my ambition is coming from His will and not from my insecurities and desires to, like, prove myself. Does that make sense?
It does. And this is why literally, if I were you, I mean, I get it. Like I would do whatever you can to get rid of the new entrepreneurs. And literally just like, I'm not ready for you. You're just not ready for it yet. I need you to go through hell. You've got a good 12 weeks of basic training. You've got to be like, it's hockey. You've got to go through juniors. You've got to do your thing. I only want to work with you if you've been an athlete before, basically. Like if you've been in business 3 to 5 years and you've succeeded at some level, I'll have a conversation with you. Right. But if you're new, this message doesn't resonate. You still need to go through hell. Like let's not even try an Ironman until you've done a half marathon.
Right.
I only want to train people that have done half marathon, Spartan races, stuff like that.
I'll just give them a course to get through.
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting at. So now you can service them and go, here's start A, B, and C.
Right.
So this is fascinating. So I could talk to you for hours, dude. We're gonna pick this up again. I absolutely want to do another episode again.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And I'd love to share with your world another time. My couple questions I'm gonna have is if you'd give any advice to anybody right now, and I want to imagine that through that lens right now is I've never done this before, so I'm gonna humor this. I'm gonna ask you to go to that right there and talk directly to them in a second, but not yet. Okay. But you ready to go? We're gonna like fire ready, fire in.
Absolutely.
So here we go. I want you to imagine that through that camera is your past self, who you were in the middle of the struggle, not understanding you're there yet. I'm gonna do this 2 times. I want you to imagine you're about to give them some advice. They are in the middle of it. They know something's wrong. They don't know what it is, but they're succeeding. And they're doing well and they're doing better than they used to do. What advice would you tell them in 30 seconds? Maybe a minute.
Oh, man.
This is Vince 5 years ago while things are going very well, and he's happy, kind of, and happy not kind of. If you could go back in time and whisper in his ear, what would you say to that guy or girl?
What I would say is I would really sit down and talk to your partner first and foremost, and find out where she's at or where he's at. And whatever they tell you, I would take literally, and I would believe what they tell you. If they express any form of discontentment or disconnection or disappointment, take it more seriously than any fire you've ever experienced in your business and stop and fix it. Or get professional help, because that smallest thing is going to turn into the biggest thing. So what I'm saying is look inside your home for anything, whether it's with your kids, whether it's with your partner, because that is your ultimate foundation and support system. And if you don't have them, it will be very hard to go out and accomplish any of your goals. And your goals are great. You have no guilt or shame to have your goals. Those have been planted inside you, but they're not worth it if you sacrifice what matters most. So I would say just make sure that your horizontal relationships are in check, and really in check, where those people feel truly loved and seen and cared for and supported, before you go back out there and conquer your own dreams. Or else you will wake up one day to some extreme news and it will not be worth anything that you acquired.
I love it. Now another question.
Okay.
That was great. That was great.
And I said that
all. That was a hellfire speech.
I just want them to know like that came from a place of compassion. That is like not from judgment whatsoever.
No, that was even not your personal. That was your personal experience.
Yeah.
Next thing, you got some people that recognize that already. They already have the conversation. They already know what they need to do.
Yeah.
You're coaching them. We're working them. What are these next steps?
The next steps,
we're already in it. Let's do it.
Yeah, find a mentor that has what you want, not just financially, but has the relationships that you want, has the character that you want, and find somebody who you want to more so be and not just get to what they have, because that's who you really are. I think choose your mentor wisely. Choose somebody who's building a business that truly has your values first. If you're a man of faith, if you're somebody who likes to have a lot more fun, you value more profit, find somebody who's already built that. Find somebody who can guide you through that process. And if you want to build something big, by all means, there's nothing wrong with that. But again, I think you got to ask yourself why. Why do you? And the last thing I'd say is figure out what your emotional desired end state is. I teach this to all my students. EDS, emotional desired end state. What is the feeling you want to experience at the end of the day, week, month, year that defines success for you? For me, one of the feelings was purpose Another one was peace. If I'm not feeling purposeful, if I'm not feeling peaceful, those are kind of like my guardrails to ensure that I'm moving in the right direction. So if I'm getting a little fast and like, oh, a little off kilter. So figure out what you want and then let that feeling dictate the number that you're going to go after.
Well, I'm excited about this. I'm excited about this journey. You put a lot of stuff out there. The cool part about podcasts is it lives out there in the world.
Right.
Use this as a guiding light, and it's really an honor to be part of this journey with you. So any final thoughts at all, Vince? Or I'm enjoying this. You said a lot, and there's a lot to take in. I'd listen to this one twice, everyone.
Yeah, give yourself permission to pivot as well. You know, if you need to make a pivot, that's very normal. If you've had a bad season, it doesn't mean you have a bad business. You know, if you had a bad week, bad month, like it's very normal. Even championship football teams are at the top one year and then they're the bottom the next year. So just
it's a cycle.
It's okay. It's okay if your identity is not what you do. It's in who you are and how you show up and how your loved ones see you and what they're going to say about you when you're gone. So I think just keep those things. You know, everybody's heard this, but do an inventory and ask yourself, what would that look like differently in my day? And I believe that's when you're going to find alignment.
I agree. All right, brother.
Yeah,
Appreciate
brother,
you coming
great.
out. We're going to do more of these.
Yeah.
Let's make a difference and keep on rocking.
Let's do it.
All right, so here's a recommendation. I would definitely listen to this one a second time. And the reason why is every time you hear something like this, it makes a major difference in what you do. And because you were here and you made it this long, obviously you resonated with the message. I'm going to give you 2 major requests that I believe will make a major difference for you. I want to stay connected. So if you're watching this on YouTube, definitely hit the subscribe button now. Then I can keep you updated on new videos, new content, new podcasts that come out. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube or listening on Apple, take a second and click the follow button so we can keep updated with you. The power of this, it lets Apple know that this is important to you. It keeps it in your feed and boom, it'll let you know when this and other podcasts wind up showing up. So if you're online, click the little QR code and hit the follow button. And if you are listening right now, go to iTunes, take a second, do it now, open it up and hit the follow button. And I'm excited to be part of your journey with you.